So what do you call yourself? Welcome to the LaTangela Show. Hey.
Hey, what can I do for you this fine day?
This is your destiny. Hot, hot, hot.
Right now.
Welcome to the LaTangela Show.
Kick it.
Come on in and enjoy yourself.
Right now.
We gon' party like no one else. Welcome to the LaTangela Show.
Hi.
Hello. Is there a doctor in the house?
This is she.
Hello there, darling, and welcome to another episode of the LaTangela Show podcast. It does my heart well to have this time together. And we do our best to get the best of the best in the building, in the hot seat, and on the tan line. And through my partnership with Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, our Gordon Gives, Tan Cares, I often get the opportunity to speak to those who are doing amazing things in their corner of the world to make the world we live in a better place. And Dr. Campos, let me just tell you, when I saw this interview come across my desk, I say, oh, I really need to speak with her. You are highlighting some of the best efforts in those special places that families really depend on. When it comes to our fur babies and those that we have in our forever home, they end up on your doorstep often. How did you know that you wanted to walk into this field of medicine and say that it was beyond just a passion, a love of animals, but you wanted to be the one that was going to care for them?
So first of all, thank you very much for having me on this. This is exciting. Never done a podcast, so this is great. I was a horse girl. I grew up with horses, and we had our horses at a public barn. And I knew from the time I was 12 years old that veterinary medicine was what I was going to do. We had a equine vet, a horse vet that used to come to the barn, and didn't matter if I had called him for my horse, if somebody was calling him for their horse, I'd make sure as a little kid I was always at the barn asking a million questions. And this doctor in particular, he, used to let me ask questions and give me little things to do. And so 12 years old, I just knew that that's what I was going to do. Now, the crazy thing about it is I was supposed to be a horse vet, which I do horses, but I am now in a small animal clinic of my own.
I love it. And congratulations on being able to see it through. When people start talking about exposure, you were there with the horses and then you were exposed to a vet that would come and care. And they were even patient enough with you and the animals to answer your questions while caring for them. That is
Yeah, and I can
great.
only imagine that I was somewhat annoying when he was trying to do his job, right?
But it could have been comforting for him too to know that someone sooner or later would be paying it forward and walking in those footsteps. Not only did you see something that you admired at the age of 12, but it kept you long enough to say, I'm really going to stick this out and see it through because that's a lot of work.
And Dr. Kelly Chapman, who was that horse vet, he's retired now, but he did help me get into vet school by providing recommendations and whatnot, allowing me to shadow for him. And he is still a very good friend of mine.
I love it. Dr. Campos, I've always wondered, as a vet, it's not as if the animals can come in and speak on their own behalf. So now the level of communication, there's a barrier there. What level of concern should families have to be able to look out to see different elements that their animals may be having or different signs that we may not see, but a trained eye and a trained professional as a vet, you get it as soon as they walk in, but we're looking and we may not be seeing the signs.
Sure. And in human medicine, those things are called symptoms, right? A human or a mother or father can come in and say, this is what's going on. And you're correct. When animals come in, we look at them and say, what are the clinical signs? They don't have symptoms. They can't tell us what's going on. So we look for things, or people bring us their animals because they're not acting the same. They're hiding. They're not eating as much. Sometimes they're drinking too much water, or, that can all be underlying issues. The biggest thing in Louisiana is what people are looking online and stuff calling allergies. And the biggest allergy that dogs are having is flea allergies. So they come in, they're scratching, they're losing their hair, they're
Mhm.
getting bacterial infections on their skin. And we see that a lot in the summer.
Okay, is it more so in a particular breed? Because Dr. Google has told me so much, and we don't want to lean on Dr. Google. We want to lean on the professionals, and that's why it's important that I get the Dr. Campos in the hot seats and all the tan lines. Because oftentimes we may not be paying attention because the world is so full of hustle and bustle, and those may be the small clinical symptoms that we're missing, not because we don't care, but because we fed her, maybe, she'd already eaten and we just didn't notice, now, now is the time for us to just really hone in and say that this is a member of our family. We do care, we are concerned, and we want to be on top of this game as well.
So different, it's a good point you bring up. Different breeds come with their own problems.
Mhm.
Toy dogs have problems with their teeth and they require more dentals than large dogs. Toy dogs have more like, congestive heart failure. Pit bulls and pit mixes have skin issues. And schnauzers have pancreatitis. It just comes, every breed has their own issues that, can help us be clued in on, hey, what's going on with this little dog
Right. I've always
or
been
cat.
infatuated with Great Danes. I always wanted a pet Great Dane so I can name it Horsey, but they come with their own set of little issues too.
They do. If you get them neutered or spayed, it's recommended to get their stomachs tacked down because they can experience bloat and it's an emergency.
Wow. And even the temperament of animals, knowing what would be a good fit for your family.
Correct.
If there's
Correct.
a family that's considering adding on a fur baby right now because the kids are asking, or maybe because they would like a pet because they're in a different phase of life and think they have more time. If you want something that's going to be suited for your lifestyle, what type of questions should we ask before we go and actively seek to add that animal to our family?
So obviously larger dogs need more exercise than a little toy dog like I own. I own toy poodles.
Oh,
We would think they would be low maintenance, but then you have to worry about grooming, right? Can you get this dog groomed every 6 to 8 weeks? Large dogs need a lot more exercise. Larger dogs cost more
yeah.
just for medications, for your flea and heartworm preventative. It's going to be more expensive to keep up with a large dog. A lot of people have allergies.
Mhm.
There are hypoallergenic dogs that should be considered. Um, there are, dogs that don't shed. There's dogs that shed a lot. So it's your lifestyle and what you really are doing yourself a favor and that animal a favor by looking deeply into what does this breed or, species, what does it require?
Absolutely. And when it's time for those annual checkups, for us, we understand we have to go get X, Y, and Z done. Well, now it's time to put it up for our kittens and our pooches and birdies and all these good things too. So, what are those exams that we would want to make staples for our animals?
Sure. So we want to start vaccinations on kittens and puppies. Some people start at like 6 weeks. Most people adopt at 9 weeks. And
Mhm.
so we start puppies and kittens with a series of vaccines. Not everybody knows that, but when your puppy or kitten gets their first vaccines, that's not the end of it. They have to come back every 3 to 4 weeks until they're 16 weeks old for their puppy and kitten vaccinations to be complete.
Oh,
And then as far as adults, they I do my vaccines once a year. But with that being said, in the annuals, dogs get tested for heartworms because
mhm,
it's very prevalent in Louisiana. It's
mhm.
not a matter of if my dog's going to get heartworms, it's when will my dog get heartworms if they're not on a heartworm preventative.
Mhm.
And then we always annually test for intestinal parasites because that can cause weight loss, that can cause diarrhea, vomiting, and whatnot.
Right. And when it comes down to the diet of our animals, they see you with certain things, want to give them special treats. When it comes down to dietary needs, is it okay to give them the table food? Is it okay to give them the snacks that we might like too? What does that look like?
So of course it's not. You know, us as humans, the better it tastes, I'm more than sure the more fat content it has in it, the more seasoning it has in it. You know, things that we may put in our food, such as garlic or onions, is not good for your pets. So you have to be careful of that. What I will tell you is that a lot of vegetables are very good for your animal, and you can use those as treats, such as green beans, carrots, things like that.
Okay.
So that's the kind of treats that I recommend. I know we have a big influx of new foods for animals, fresh foods, and home cooked foods. And
Right.
of course, everybody has their own opinion about that. However, fresh foods, you have to make sure that when they were shipped to you, they were fresh and cold the whole time. They
Right.
didn't
That makes
sit on a
sense.
dock and get warm because now you may be dealing with salmonella.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Um, mhm.
Especially when people think that they're making the right choices, you just want them to make the right and best informed choices. And the
Sure. And
handling of that food, it's very important.
yeah, and some people don't want to give kibble, the hard dog food, but what they have to understand is that kibble is helping with their teeth by chewing that hard kibble if you're not brushing or getting dentals on a regular basis.
Right, right. So, all of that's good stuff. What are some of the tips that we really want to take care of our puppies and our fur babies while this weather is changing, right? During the summer months, that's one thing, but now that we're entering into fall and winter is right around the corner, what are some of those tips that you would suggest?
So heat stroke is a very common thing in Louisiana.
Mm,
One thing that people may not realize, a lot of people have French bullies right now, short-faced dogs.
mm,
They overheat in the summer very quickly. So we want to keep an eye on heat stroke. Obviously, in the winter, if we have an outdoor kitty or an outdoor dog, we want to provide warmth, and we don't want them to have frozen water. We want them to have fresh water that they can get to and shelter if they're outside during the winter.
right. And with your vet, what are some of the services that you and your team provide? Because I know you're right there in Gretna. You're open
We
just about
are.
25/8. If I walked in with something from a pet snake to a giraffe, you're willing. So, what are those services?
So we provide annual vaccinations, just annual checkups, and that's for cats, dogs, and horses. We do dentistry. We do surgeries such as spay, neuter, mass removal. We do boarding here, and our boarding facility is a little unique because we have indoor outdoor runs, and we have a dedicated kennel assistant that strictly deals with our boarders. So they're getting out to play. They're not just sitting in kennels and getting out to potty real quick and then back in the kennel.
Right.
We keep in touch with our clients. I think the best thing about Gretna Vet Hospital, besides us caring for our animals, our patients, is that we have open communication with the owners.
Yeah.
They get to ask as many questions as they want. The doctor's going to call you back if you have a question. I'm going to get on the phone with you if you don't understand something. In our industry right now, vet clinics are being picked up by corporate companies rapidly.
Mhm.
And it's my goal and mission to keep this privately owned and kind of, for a lack of better terms, I want to kick it like we used to old school. Mom and pop shop, We know you, we know your family, we know your animals, we know what you're going through.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you brought in the boarding. When families are traveling, you want to make sure that they're in the care of someone who would care for them the way that you would, even in your absence.
Correct.
So, how
Yes, and we
important is it
do.
that we have a good fit for our animals when it's time for us to take that vacation or an extended stay somewhere else?
So Brandy, who is our kennel technician, she's constantly taking pictures and videos and texting the owners on a daily basis, showing the, babies playing and getting out so that the owners are comfortable that my pet's not sitting in a kennel, my pet is being taken care of.
Yeah, I want to make sure my baby's smiling on those pictures. That's
Correct. Yeah.
who took the picture? Were you happy with them today? Because it shows.
Yeah.
Animals do not know how to hide their emotions, so it will indeed show.
Yeah, and we provide them with toys and things like that to play with them. And so most of those pictures that we do get, they are actually playing with a toy or running around the yard or something.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the fact that you took time out of your schedule to join us today in the hot seat nor the tan line. And I want you to think of this as an extension of your office. As you have new things going on, feel free to jump in the hot seat and say, let's get it done. And you can consider it done. For more information on how we can contact you, how we can set those annual visits, how we can set it up with the boarding, how do we reach you?
This is Gretna Veterinary Hospital. We're at 714 Kepler Street in Gretna. Our phone number is 504-304-5757. And we are on Facebook under Gretna Veterinary Hospital. And we have a website address, email address, Gretna Veterinary Hospital at gmail.com.
Absolutely. I know you have more work to do, so I'm gonna let you chase the sun or let the sun chase you. But either way, get after it. I love you, and there's
And make
nothing you can
sure
do about it.
what's like the most important is please get your pets spayed and neutered. Very important for their health.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Campos.
Thanks for having me.